Broadcasting from the Evergreen Media Network studios in Vero Beach, Florida. It's Huntin with Heather.
Hey y'all, welcome to Hunt with Heather. I am your host, Heather Hawk. This is Season 2, Episode 11. If you're new to this show, welcome. This show is dedicated to all those who love to hunt, love the outdoors, and those who want to learn more. Whether you're a seasoned hunter or a green hunter, this show's going to be packed full of information. We're going to talk deer, turkey, and everything in between. And of course, you can't forget about those stories that keep us coming back for more. So grab a seat, sit back, and let's talk hunting. Before I introduce my guest today, I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Jake Witt with State Farm. Yes, that's right. It's the OG, the original Jake with State Farm. If you're looking for an agent with a hometown feel, you're going to want to call Jake. If you are looking for new insurance policies, maybe utility vehicle insurance, maybe life insurance, all of my policies are through Jake, and he gives us the best deal. And he truly looks after us, and he's always trying to save us money. And I know in this economy, we all want that. So reach out to Jake Witt with State Farm, 772-500-5253. Y'all, check out this new studio. I don't know about this chair. My slight ADD is going to no, I'm just kidding. I'm going to try not to move too much. Look at this. Woo, look how nice this is. Loving it. So let's get into hunting. So my guest today comes from Missouri. And you are going to be so excited about her stories. We spoke the other day. The show's not that long, so we're going to probably have to do a part 2 with her because there's a lot to talk about with her. So without further ado, let's get into it with Miss Kelly Ott. Hey, Kelly.
Thank you, Heather.
Thanks for coming on the show. Good. How are you today?
Doing well. It's been a morning already.
That's good. I love to see your fans back there, your beautiful display.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I have my deer and my fans and other various things around the room.
I love it. Look at there. That's awesome. So let's get into a little bit. There's so much I want to talk about with you, but let's go ahead and just let the audience know a little bit about you, like how you got into hunting.
Well, I did not grow up hunting. I grew up in St. Louis. I was a city girl, and in my early 20s, I got married, and my husband had grown up on a farm in southern Missouri. And we lived in the city when we first got married, but his dream was to always move out and have property. And he introduced me a little bit to small game hunting, which I wasn't really interested in. And when we decided to purchase property, land, we moved out of the city, and things started to develop then as far as wildlife management of the property and taking an interest. He set me up with a deer blind, and I'd go out. Opening morning was probably the extent of my hunting. And I wasn't super active with it. I went out and maybe shot a deer once in the season. If I didn't get one, that was okay. But everything walked right under me. So I never learned how to shoot a rifle with a scope. I had a 30-30 open sight that was his grandpa's that I used. And I didn't learn a lot about hunting then. But I did enjoy the property, and I enjoyed foraging. I'm big on mushroom hunting and shed hunting and stuff. But I had a four-wheeler accident, unfortunately, that really created a lot of damage in my right leg. Tore everything in my right knee. I had nothing holding the bones together. And so I went through extensive rehab, about 2 years of rehab. And until my accident, I was very active as far as training with my son for soccer, who was able to travel all over and play soccer. And I even played a little bit in the league and stuff up to my accident. But after that, I went through 2 years of extensive rehab and physical therapy and just never could get full function back in that right leg. And I was really down on myself. I was in my mid to late 40s and wasn't willing to accept that I couldn't do things that I wanted to do. And so I decided that I was just going to rehab myself. And my goal was hiking to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and back up. I
I
couldn't
love
take
that
anything
story.
higher. Yeah. And so I did. I trained for a year. It took about 18 months to get all the permits to be able to stay at the bottom. And the original goal was to hike um, rim to rim, but
That-
it was during COVID. And so the north rim had been closed. So we hiked from the south rim from Angel, which is a huge part of the trail, of course, down and then back up. We spent the night and came back up. And because of that, I just developed a real love for hiking and being outdoors. And a friend of my son's had asked me if I had ever thought about hunting elk, since I enjoyed the hiking, that he was just sure I would love the Colorado mountains. And I said, well, I don't know if that's not really my thing. I've never looked through a scope. I don't know if I could do it. And he said, well, think about it. We'll go in the summer, see if you could handle that elevation in the hiking, and if it's something you want to do. And my son and I went in July and fell in love with the terrain and just the hiking was beautiful. And so I practiced. They helped me get set up with the on the scope and helped me practice and got me shooting out to 300 yards. And it was just kind of the start of my journey, really, in a lot of ways, because every opportunity has led into another opportunity. And so I went on that trip and I didn't get an elk. We didn't even see any elk, but I gained so much more. Uh, skills, knowledge, abilities, confidence, camaraderie with the people that took me under their wing. And on that trip, the one thing that I remember, and I was going to share pictures of this, but I figured they probably wouldn't like that. The guys that took me, they would fall asleep. We'd go, we'd hike, and we'd get up to glassing point, and I'd be so into it, because glassing's another skill that you have to
Mm-hmm.
learn. I loved it, and so we'd get up there, and they'd all be falling asleep in the sun, and I'd be glassing and looking, which might be why we didn't see anything. But anyway, I was seeing this bear run from one side all the way across to the other side to the other mountain, and I woke everybody up. I was freaked out, and they're like, it's 1,000 yards away. It's not going to hurt you. And I'll never forget. Derek said, you should shoot bear. You should hunt bear. I said, that's one thing I will never hunt. He said, why? I'm like, well, duh, I'm afraid of them. Obviously, I have no interest in that. And he said, well, that's probably the reason you should do it, because I know you'll learn about it. You'll learn about the bear's habits and their habitat, and you'll dive in and you'll go and you'll conquer it and you won't be afraid anymore. So he planted that seed. And when I got home, an opportunity came up to go on an all women's bear hunt. And that I was like, well, maybe I should try this. And I have two whole sessions of stories that I could tell you about that hunt. But I did end up going on a bear hunt and it was amazing. I got my first bear, and there were times that I was really, really afraid, but it was worth it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love that because yeah, we were talking the other day about that, and that's one of my biggest things is like I was supposed to do a bear hunt last year, but hurricanes came and it
Right.
ruined that chance at the moment. But I have my husband always teases me because I get so buggered up in the woods. I get like nervous when I have to walk in the dark by myself and there's bears and just, but I think the biggest thing is actually going to do the bear hunt, like you said, and to just kind of gain that knowledge of them a little more. And, but I think it's funny because you told me your first hunt the young girl walked you in, and it was kind of a lower, like you're almost sitting on the ground, right? And then there was like,
Yes.
go ahead, I'll let
I
you
had been in
say.
a stand. I had been in a stand and there was a huge bear that they had on camera there at the site that I was sitting. I was over bait. And he was just smart. He was not coming out until after dark. And let me tell you, when you're afraid of something and you have to get out of a stand at dark and walk up a path um, that is marked by reflective tape that's way above your head, right? So sometimes I'm seeing the tape, sometimes I'm not. And I get out and I'm supposed to walk to this meeting section where they pick you up and they pick up all the hunters one by one because our site's worn out real close. So you might be standing out there in the dark for an hour and a half. And
Mm-mm.
there were a couple times I had my light and I see eyes shining back at me, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And, eyes that are taller than me. So it's a moose or a bear or something. And I was really afraid of the moose too, because there was
Yeah.
a moose that had a calf right around my site, and she visited every day. And so it made me nervous to be out there in the dark waiting on my ride. But so that bear was coming to sight, and what happened was they offered to move me to another place that they knew would be productive, but they thought I might not want to do it because of the bear. And none of the other ladies wanted to do it. There were 10 or 11 of us on that hunt. I didn't know anybody. I'd gone, me and another lady from Missouri met up and rode together to me. And we got there, so the guide is walking me in to this new location that's on the
Mm.
ground. It's basically a chair on the side of a tree, and she had put up some just camouflage stakes, around. And she stopped, and I'm like, "Is there a bear? Well, what do you see?" She moved out of the way, and she goes, "You don't if you don't want to sit here, it's okay. We can take you to another spot." I said, "Why? What's wrong?" And then I could see like the bear had shredded that seat. And I have pictures I'll send to you because they're pretty impressive. The foam was ripped out of the seat, and you could see the claw marks through the foam and it
Right.
chewing on the side. And I said, "No, I want to sit here." She couldn't believe it. She's like, "Really?" I said, "Yep, there's a bear, right? I just want to
Yeah.
see a bear." At that point, I just wanted to see a bear. And I thought that that's what I needed to get over my fear, was to see it. And so I'm sitting there and I was concerned because bear are so quiet. You think something that big would make all kinds of noise, but I was worried about it coming up from behind me because there were a lot of paths coming up. But the bear bait was about 40 yards in front of me, and I wasn't there long, maybe 10 minutes, and a bear come out of the woods from behind the bait and walk right up to it. And I don't know, there was no fear. I just lifted my rifle and dropped it right where it was. So that was my first bear hunt.
I love it. That would make me nervous though, definitely. With the bear and the moose, like the moose though, because the moose are man, those can be
Yes.
very, especially when they have, a young a baby moose with them. But all right, listen, let's break real quick, and I can't wait to hear more, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Paris Family Chiropractic understands after a long day in the woods, tracking and hunting, your back might be crying out louder than a call to the wild. Paris Family Chiropractic specializes in back, neck, and shoulder pain relief, carpal tunnel, disc injury treatment, headaches and migraines, sciatica treatment, and so much more. Get back to your prime hunting form. Visit ParisFamilyChiro.com and schedule your appointment today. Paris Family Chiropractic, Vero Beach.
Create your island paradise at Sunshine Furniture during our winter sale event. Save 50% on all Tommy Bahama and Lexington, including the newest collection, Key Biscayne. Living room, dining room, occasional chairs, office, and media furniture with sophisticated design and a mix of coastal and Caribbean style. All Tommy Bahama and Lexington offer everything you need for your Florida living. We have the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture from Four Seasons, Capri, Universal, Riverside, Hooker, Seawinds, Barcalounger, Best, and lots more. At Sunshine Furniture, we're the outdoor furniture experts specializing in patio sets that withstand the Florida elements, and we have a gallery of Berlin Garden and Bollywood. Come in now for the best prices of the year. Sunshine Furniture, $12.95 US 1 in Vero Beach. Don't miss the 50% off winter sale on Tommy Bahama and Lexington going on now. Visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com and visit our outlet store directly across the street.
Nobody outpowers America, and nobody outperforms the lawnmowers and power equipment at More Motors. Discover great products made in the USA by Bobcat, Hustler, Cub Cadet, and Steel Power Equipment. All backed with local service and parts. Going on 40 years serving the Treasure Coast. More Motors has an American-made lawnmower for you. 5135 US 1 Vero Beach. Anything and everything it takes to make tall grass short. More Motors.
Welcome back to Huntin' with Heather. My guest today is Kelly Ott. And if you are just coming back or just joining us on the show, then rewind and listen to the first part because we were talking a lot of bears. And that's something I'm trying to overcome, that fear. And I will. Kelly's going to help me with that. So,
You will.
thank you.
That picture that you showed just a few minutes ago of the bear, that was my archery bear in Alaska. And
Yeah.
that was quite a hunt. You talk about having a little bit of fear. We got to the spot where my friend had some bait set up, and he had a 50-yard bait and a 40-yard bait, all of which were too far for me. My sweet zone is 20 yards with archery because I'm so small and I don't, I can't, my draw weight is not going to let me shoot out that far. And so I put limits on myself as far as how far I will shoot. So we were trying to bring the bear in closer every night. And there were bear every night out there. And in Alaska, the bear are so much different than in Maine. They're a lot more aggressive. Than what you see out on the East Coast, but they're bigger as well, and they know they're not top of the food chain because the grizzly bears will also come into the bait, so they act a little bit different. But so we were working on getting them to come in, and I was in this little bitty stand that I had to just hooks that I climbed up on the side of this tree, and my seat was literally this big. I mean, I barely had enough room to sit on it, and the first time I went to stand up, I realized that my feet, the platform wasn't big enough for my full stance. And so I had to be really careful. I was not latched into the tree, which you definitely want to do when you're hunting. But I stood up the first bear and I was shaking so bad I had to sit back down. And it took me all week to really and get my nerves up every time I'd see a bear. And we had a couple experiences where, a mama would come in with her cubs and she would not eat at the bait site, but she would watch the cub and she would start to walk in a little arc and then she'd come back and do a check and then the arc would get bigger. And before I knew it, she's out of my view completely to my left. And I looked over, I had two guys spotting me in a tree about 7 yards behind me and to my right, and they couldn't see her either. And I just remember my friend Bob mouthing, "Don't move. If she doesn't know where you are, but if she sees you or hears you, it's gonna not be good." So we sat really still
That's
and
scary.
waited for them to pass. Yeah, and it's just every night like that, and then every night Bob would say, "Okay, what are you thinking?" And I'd say, "I'm thinking archery." He really wanted me to just take a rifle out and shoot one of the bears. So that last night he took a beaver that he had trapped, and he bungeed it around a tree at 20 yards. And that bear came from that 40-yard site, and he was just huffing. You could see in the video on my YouTube channel, he's just coming right towards me, and he stops 7 yards in front of me and puts his
Oh my
head up.
goodness.
And I was only 7 foot in the tree. Every single one of those
Wow.
bear could have reached out and plucked me out of that stand.
Wow.
So it was a little nerve-wracking, but he put his head up because the wind was blowing the other direction, and he finally caught whiff of that beaver, and so he turned around and went back for the beaver and gave me a perfect broadside shot. So it couldn't have
Outstanding.
ended any better. He didn't go very far, and I saw him drop and do the death moan and everything. So
Yeah.
it was
Well, you
very,
persevered.
very
Yeah. You persevered and stayed through the you know, that scared, and because I can't imagine having that mama bear there and not knowing where she's at. So
yeah, it was
let's
scary.
talk. So I want to talk real briefly because I know you mentioned that you did get you were just elected for the Artemis for Missouri. So explain a little bit about Artemis to us, because I know mentoring is very dear to your heart. We've got about a couple minutes, but let's talk briefly about that.
Sure. Yeah, so I've only been doing this since 2020, which is amazing. But my goal every year is to mentor, either to help new women, new hunters, or youth. And so I mentor different hunts and help them out, as well as do some guiding for turkey across the states. But um, Artemis is a program sponsored by the National Wildlife Federation, and it is an all-female program that focuses on sportswomen and mentoring and teaching and providing opportunities for women to just enjoy anything outdoors and
I
to
love it.
a safe place to learn skills, and to meet other women, like-minded women, and do adventures. And
I
it's
think
it's
that's
a
great.
really neat program. I'm very impressed with them because they really do try to make it. It's about the individual. It's what you want to do, and so they host different things every month and invite women. Most events are free of charge, so nobody's lining their pockets or getting free hunts because they've signed a bunch of people up, which I like. It really is about the mission of helping other women.
Well, what a great honor to be
Check them
able
out. I think
to.
they're starting to Sorry, I think they're
No,
starting to get chapters in all the states. So
okay,
you can go
definitely.
online and look up Artemis and see if there's a chapter in your state. There probably is.
Yeah, we'll link it to the show. So it'll be linked if you're listening to this on podcast. It will be linked on the show, as well as how to get a hold of Kelly too. And then I'll post it on Facebook and all those other platforms. All right, Kelly. Rapid round. Just kidding. We got
Okay.
a couple minutes. Just to give me a tip that you would give a fellow hunter.
I thought long and hard about this, but I would say probably what you saw on that hiking picture that you posted. My mantra is you don't have to be great to get started. Clearly, I had no experience, and someone took me under their wings, and I just got started. And you set goals and you seek out those that will help you. I could not get a turkey to save my life, and I tried and tried and tried. And I had a friend come out and try to help call for me, and I gave up, and that was in 2020. I gave up, and Wednesday of that week, I decided this is silly. I'm sitting here pouting, pick myself up off my bootstraps and get out there and do it. And I got my first turkey by myself without help, and I was hooked. I got my Grand Slam in 21, and my Royal Slam and my World Slam last year in 24. 24 was a good year. I
Outstanding.
got my first belt. I got my
Yeah,
first, and shout out to Jeremy Pitts. If anybody wants an elk hunt, contact me and I'll help get you set up for that.
fantastic. So we're gonna definitely have to bring you on, because I want to talk about turkey season's coming up, and we're going to talk about turkey with you on the next
Okay.
time I bring you on. So thank you so much. Thank you for coming on. Thank you,
you.
guests, for listening. Thank you to my sponsor, Jake Witt with State Farm. You guys share this episode. I love y'all. Go get outdoors.